Okay, so thank you for joining tonight's class. It's the 6th of February, 2024. Tonight's class is on equanimity. So why bother with equanimity? What's the point? Well, equanimity is a smooth mind that doesn't discriminate. Nice person, not nice. Well, it's not quite not nice and nice. It's love that person, love that person, love that person, love that person. Not focusing on the relatively small differences between that person, this person, and me. So, oh, I don't like them, they support Arsenal. Oh, I like them, they support Wimbledon. That sort of thing. You know, that's trivial, but, well, it does happen around here with those teams. So, and others. So we discriminate all the time. We discern, oh, don't like, particularly in England, oh, their class, they're a bit rough, they're a bit pompous, they're pretentious, they're crass. And we even do it within our own families. I like that person, don't like that person, I like that person. Oh, that person who I used to not like now is flattering me, so I like them, so I'll move them back over here. And we do that a lot. We do that a lot. If we notice, if we watch our mind, we do that. And most people we're indifferent to. And because we're indifferent to most people, they're not an opportunity for us to enhance our love. So what we tend to have is an absence of equanimity. And that's creating attachment and aversion and indifference. So attachment focuses on somebody, notices a quality, exaggerates it, and wishes to never be separate from it, ultimately. So we know that we do that with chocolate after the first bite and things. Oh, I'll have the rest of the bar. Or we don't think I'll have the rest of the bar, do we? We think I'll just have another one. I'll just have another one. It's like the chocolate's got power over us. What we're doing is we're hallucinating qualities into that chocolate that will bring us happiness, and that chocolate can't deliver. So it's not reliable. We know that if we eat all the chocolate, we feel sick. It can't have been a source of happiness for us. This is a standard Buddhist kind of teaching, this stuff. And then we've got aversion, anger, aversion, hatred, loathing. And what that does is that perceives a fault, exaggerates it, dwells on it, builds up the fault, and then we can't stand that person. We want them out of our life. We want them out of our life. And then we've got the indifferent people where we don't care. We don't care. We don't crave them. We don't have aversion to them. We just don't care. And there's no basis for loving them. That's not love. And so, it's the indifference we think is quite neutral, but it's not, because most people in the world are indifferent to most people in the world. And therein lies the trouble. It's why there are homeless people. It's why there are lonely people, old lonely people on their own. Young people as carers rather than having a young person's life. So as an individual, we can overcome that. We can develop more and more equanimity. It's a practice. We're not going to get it right all the time. In fact, at first we'll get it wrong more than we get it right, and then we just gradually move it over. So it does this, it sort of comes over this way from that. It's not, we don't do this more and more and more and more. We don't do that. We do bit more, bit less, bit more, bit less, bit more, bit and it just gradually comes over this way. It's messy, sporadic and messy. Now, the classic analogy with this is that if we try to heat water on a pan of water on a stove and we keep turning the heating down, up, high, medium, high, off, low, high, medium, it may never boil. Whereas if we leave it on really low, eventually it will simmer and boil. And that's our practice. That's how we can aim to train our mind, pacify our mind, bring it to ease. And it's not just equanimity towards people either, it's equanimity towards things. I've got a headache right now. Got quite a bad head, not a migraine, but I've got quite a bad headache, and I was going to take a pill before I did the class, and I thought, well, could do, but I didn't, and it's here, and it's okay. That doesn't mean that I ought to not take a pill if I've got things to do and I can't because it's too much. And it's not about grinning and bearing. Equanimity is not about grinning and bearing it either. It's just that there's a headache here and it's allowed to be. It's all right. My mind is not creating a story about that headache. It's not developing aversion to the headache. It's not indifferent to it. It's allowing it. So it doesn't. Equanimity is not just people. It's also situations and events. You know, we're waiting for a train. The train doesn't turn up. Most people on the concourse tut and frustrate and get on the mobile phone to tell somebody else, to bore somebody else with the fact that their train's late. How boring is that conversation for the person? My train's late. Oh, wow, terrible. Our indifference kicks in then. Like, why are you ringing me about that? That's important to you. Unless we're trying to meet with them, and then it's very important to us. So we can see we can have equanimity towards circumstances and events more and more. And that's a very good baseline measure for our practice, our meditation practice, is our equanimity increasing towards events. And we'll find it will be towards maybe people driving too close to our bumper, not letting us out at a junction, the grief we get at work, grief we get at home, knocks and bangs to our body, things like that. They start to bother us less. So we develop more of a smooth mind. You know, and it can also be we might lose a bit of work. We might lose 20 minutes work. We don't do that anymore, do we, really much with computers, auto backup and things. But, you know, it can lose some work. We can be typing something and the battery die on our phone. Something like that. Leaving a voicemail, 3 minutes in and the phone dies. So how do we practice? How do we practice equanimity? Well, we focus on the similarities between us rather than the differences. And the similarities are huge and the differences are tiny, especially if we believe in karma and reincarnation. We think about infinite time. What's going on for two sentient beings in this life is trivial compared with the commonality throughout infinite time. So what is that commonality? That commonality is that we search for better conditions and we search to avoid worse conditions. We're all doing that all the time, even if it's just moving around on our chair, scratching, reducing discomfort on our face from scratching, whether it's a little bit of hunger and we get food to try to reduce the hunger. And then we search around in the food for flavor so that we indulge our senses for pleasure, as well as overcoming the hunger. We get cold, we put the heating on or we put warmer clothes on. We get cold, so we get hot and we look for shade if we're outside. Take a layer of clothes off. We get in the car, we want it adjusted right for us. We want to have the right music on. We want the aircon on right. We're looking for good conditions. And all living beings do that. Dogs, cats, budgies, alligators, everything's looking for better conditions. And we can observe that. Actually, I would really encourage you to stop in your day at times and look around to see if this is true, to see if this is a universal truth that all living beings look for better conditions. You see children in the playground. They're wanting to be excited. They're wanting to have friends. They're wanting to not experience loneliness and separation. So we can do a meditation if you'd like to get comfortable. Do a meditation on equanimity. First of all, we're going to do the prep. We're going to do preparatory practice, do body relaxation and breathing meditation. Doesn't matter if you've done this loads of times before. Please don't skip it. There's a saying, if we haven't got 5 minutes to meditate, then we need to meditate for an hour. So bring your awareness to your body. Notice how it feels. Is it tired? Is it rested? Is it exercised? Does it want to move about? Is it happy to stay still? When we first start to meditate, we notice our body wants to stay busy. That's the body searching for better conditions and away from worse ones. And the mind does it too. Now we can become aware of the, aware of the thoughts. Thoughts coming and thoughts going. Practice not believing them. Whatever thought comes up, equanimity towards that thought. Just let it pass on. Not believing it, not disbelieving it. Not being controlled by it. Now we bring our awareness to our shoulder. We scan down the left shoulder, the left arm, the left hand and fingers. Any tension, relax it off. We're not fighting against any tension. We're doing this with equanimity. We're just saying, okay, relax it off, relax that off. And we do the same now from the right shoulder, scanning all the way down, letting go of any tension or tightness. And now from the left hip, we scan down, relax off the thigh, the calf, all the way down. And now from the right hip, scan down the right leg, relaxing any tension you find all the way down, mindfully, watching, checking. Bringing the awareness now to the shoulders and the neck. Having comfortably straight back, chin tucked in a little, crown of the head up, arms resting under their own weight. And imagine warm summer sunshine beats down on the shoulders and the neck, melts any tension on the left and any tension on the right. and any tension down the middle. And now we visualize black smoke swirling around inside of our body cavity that judges. Sorry, that's bound up with judgment, the mind that judges. Black smoke bound up with the mind that judges. And with 3 nice, steady, deep out breaths, we visualize this black smoke disappearing into the distance until eventually all that judgment, that mind of judgment, has gone. Imagine anything your senses meet now, just meet directly without overlaying with a judgment. And now as you breathe in, imagine sparkling golden lights coming in through the nostrils. And pervading the body and the mind, spreading out more and more. And this is love that doesn't judge. Imagine that bound up in this is love that doesn't judge, coming into you in the form of sparkling golden light. Imagine it comes into your heart, your spiritual heart, your heart center in your chest. This is not an abstract idea, and we get to know this as we part the clouds of our mind, and we experience things clearly with less noise. Imagine this sparkling golden light comes to your heart and spreads outwards as you breathe it in. Completely non-judgmental love. And it's okay to receive this. If you're listening to this, you need permission. You have full permission to feel this love. It's not interested in what you've done. It's non-judgmental. It's for you. Wholeheartedly for you. If there's a resistance, just note it and carry on anyway. We can fake it till we make it. If you're struggling, imagine what it would be like to receive unconditional, unjudgmental, non-judgmental love. And now we're going to do some breathing meditation, more of the preparatory practice. Just check your posture so you don't get drowsy, and don't try to meditate too well, too hard, otherwise you'll stir up your thoughts. Become aware of the breath coming in through the nostrils, just breathing through the nose. Notice the breath going all the way down and all the way back out again. Now bringing the awareness into the nostril linings so that we notice as we breathe in the cooler sensation, then there's a pause. And as we breathe out, there's a warmer sensation. And there's a shorter pause and we breathe in again. Notice the pause after we've breathed in is longer than the pause after we've breathed out. And keep aware of these sensations, cool to warm, warm to cool. And if your mind wanders away, which it probably will if you haven't been doing this for a long time, don't worry, just bring in awareness back to the inside of the nostrils. Now bring the awareness to the very rims of the nostrils. And we do the same exercise. Doesn't matter how many times we have to bring our awareness back to the rims of the nostrils and the cool and the warm. The whole process brings peace. So just relax, careful concentration, and enjoy it. Rest into it. And now we're going to do a bit of equanimity practice meditation. So I'd like to think of somebody who you have a bit of an on-off relationship with, friend or family, or have done over the years. I'd like to imagine them in front of you. Now, in your mind's eye, over to the left, when they're on the nice pile. On the right is when they're in the not very nice pile. And down the middle is when they're in different pile, indifferent. And there's probably been times with this person when we've been indifferent to them. Is that the case? Has there been times when we've been pretty indifferent to them? They've not been really on our radar. And have there been times when they've been in the left-hand side place? Imagine in your mind's eye on the left, move them over there in the good pile. Is there a time when they've been in the good guy pile? We're interested in them. We're enjoying their company. They're praising us. They're saying nice things. They're agreeing with us. And what about the right-hand side? Move them over to the right in the not very good pile when they've disagreed with us or not being respectful of our thoughts and our feelings. Or they've been indifferent to us and not got back to us for too long. Is there any evidence of that in our memories? And it's possible that they've been in all different one of those three positions in one day or 1 week. So we can see how our mind doesn't have equanimity towards this person, or hasn't done in the past. We move them around from side to side, from pile to pile, depending on how they are with us. And this creates agitation in the mind towards them, aversion, attachment, wanting them to be in our life more, indifference, no basis for love. So rather than engaging mentally in relation to this person from these fleeting small things, we can look for the commonality. So does this person seek better conditions and away from worse conditions? Have we observed that for this person in their life? Let's contemplate for the person we've chosen. Are they just like us? Do they want better conditions and be away from unpleasantness? Do they eat to overcome hunger? Do they try and get warmer and away from cold? Do they try and move away from loneliness by being around people, and on and on and on? Is there evidence of this truth? Will they do this potentially until the grave? Did they do it in the womb, moving elbows and feet and legs in the womb to get it more comfortable? Just like we did. Have they had nightmares in the past? Dreams where they're trying to improve conditions and get away from unpleasantness? Do they struggle to feel refreshed in the morning from sleep? Struggle to get to sleep? And wish to get to sleep peacefully? Okay, so from this point of view, from being in the womb to the grave, constantly, morning, noon, and night, through the night, we have this commonality. We have this common need to try to get better conditions and remove ourselves from worse conditions. Just the same as them, just the same, all the time. Forget they said something nice in 2018 and not something not very nice in 2019. Do we have this much more profound, pervasive commonality? And is it tiring to do this endless search for better conditions and away from worse ones? So on the basis of this commonality, we can think of them in front of us, not in one of these three places, but just generally in front of us, and recognize just how much we're the same as them, just how similar. For the vast majority of our lives, we're doing exactly the same things. And we can drop this partiality, this judgmentalness, and we can just empathize with that plight that they have, that exhausting plight that they have. And start to develop empathy for them. Because we understand this plight of searching, of not being satisfied, of struggling, of tiredness. We're hunting for better conditions all the time. And so are they. Well, focusing on this empathy, picture them in front of you, recognize this commonality, and allow the partiality to fall away gently and dwell on the empathy. Not to become a doormat, not to forget the issues and the problems, and to set boundaries and all the sort of healthy functioning things, but to overcome this mind that disturbs our peace. Contentment towards them, empathy. Just like we did with the breath, if your mind wanders away from this feeling of empathy, come back to it. And if it dwindles, recall the commonality so it comes back again. And then rest with it again. We're not trying to pretend things aren't the way they are. We're putting things in a massive perspective. And eventually just let the image fall away and just focus your awareness into your body, wherever this empathy has arisen, this equanimity, the sameness, the vast sameness from this perspective, from this truth. Rest with the feeling like we did the breath. This is how we love living beings that we don't like. This is how we love living beings that we don't like their actions. We can really hate their actions, and we can still have equanimity and love towards them. This is how we do it. This gives us more control over situations because we can think straight in difficult situations, the more equanimity we have towards the person in front of us. We'll start to express ourselves, find our voice, be heard from a place of peace about things that bother us, that aren't fair, that aren't reasonable, that aren't just, that aren't healthy. We'll do this for a couple of more minutes, resting in this equanimity. If it's gone away, see if you can recall it. If not, Contemplate the vast sameness compared with the tiny difference. No matter how bad that difference is, it's tiny in comparison, time-wise. And now imagine this understanding spreads to all of humanity, all sentient beings. We can loathe what somebody does, what something does, but recognize this pervasive commonality and have empathy and love for them and compassion. Imagine this understanding, this wisdom spreads from your mind and your heart to all living beings. For the last minute or so. And include yourself. It's not everything else. It's you as well. You include yourself in this warmth, in this tenderness, in this understanding and wisdom. As our mind gets blown about quite easily too. And before we come out of meditation, we can make a promise to ourselves to practice this for a while. And this is a commitment. This is a practice of self-love, self-kindness, to create more space in our mind when it feels tight and under pressure, to ease that tension off in our mind, in our heart. And if you want some homework, it's to recall and observe whether we share this pervasive commonality of searching out better conditions and avoiding worse ones as we go about our day-to-day lives, noticing worms and insects and birds and cats and dogs and people, sheep and cows, foxes. Pigeons, rats, mice, flies, the things that we tend to be averse to. They're just searching like us. And then when it feels comfortable, just gently allow your eyes to open and remain aware of whatever level of equanimity has arisen for you so that you can enjoy it. Thank you. Okay, so if you want to listen to this again, then you can find it on my YouTube channel, Paul Follows Meditations. And if you want to come to live classes in Perford in Surrey or on the Zoom classes, you can find reminders of the up and coming classes on the front of the website, paulfollows.com. Hope you enjoyed that and found some equanimity. Thank you.